Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana. I am a business coach and mentor for women wanting to start their own stationery businesses. And overall, I just love to share just the different things that I go through in my life, some experiences with you all. And I've been doing this little series on here where we just kind of get our favorite drink, we get chill, and just kind of talk about some real things. So in today's video, I really wanted to talk about something that I have heard time and time again from just different clients I've worked with, but also as well as just something that I have battled with in my own personal just life experience that I want to share. And that is just about finding self-confidence within entrepreneurship, you know, especially if you are dealing with it just within yourself. And so I want to just kind of share with you guys some of just the different things that I've gone through, some tips I have, and ways of how to get more confident, especially if you're planning on becoming the face of your own brand. And if you are new here, I just want to say welcome. I really hope that you feel at home on my channel. I am so passionate about helping women to just go for the things that they want in life. And we are really chatting about some good stuff, some deep stuff today. So make sure you grab your drink and get comfortable and let's talk. Today's drink is my probably favorite drink. It's a turmeric latte and I love this. It has a lot of benefits. There's actually, one of you guys told me in the comments that sometimes to be careful with the amount of turmeric you take in. She actually ended up having an iron deficiency due to that. So I just wanted to share that because I know I've talked about turmeric lattes on here many times before. But let's get into this topic. So the reason that I even wanted to really talk about this is because I have found with quite a few different clients that a lot of times they will be kind of in their head when it comes to getting on camera, when it comes to just showing their face in general, you know, taking pictures with their products or just things like that. And I'll hear different comments of like, oh, I wasn't planning on, you know, being in pictures, or I don't really feel comfortable doing videos, or, you know, oh, I would feel silly, and just different things like that. And so that's kind of where this started from. And I really had to kind of look back on myself to figure out, like, you know, how have I gotten so comfortable with being on camera and, you know, being the face of my brand. But it really definitely has to kind of go back a little bit for me to kind of explain that. And so if you guys have heard my story before, I've shared my entrepreneurship story of just like kind of where I came from, how I am and how I am today, how I got to where I am today. And so definitely check those out if you just want to learn a little bit more about me. But the main thing I will say is that I feel like it's important to really get to the root of why you feel that way. So, you know, like there are a lot of different reasons why you may or may not start your business, and one of those could simply be that you are nervous to get on camera, right? Or you are nervous to put yourself out there. You're scared of what people may think. And I think it's important to really get to the root cause of that. Why do you feel that way? And so for me, it took about a year for me to start my business, and I think a lot of it had to do with me just feeling less than, me just feeling like I wasn't really good enough to do something like this. And you know, growing up, I was into singing, I was a performer, I was in drama club, I was in show choir, I played piano. Like I did all of the artsy things in the whole just realm of music and performing, and I just knew that I was going to be a performing artist when I grew up. And so, you know, fast forward after going through college and everything like that, trying to blow up on YouTube, auditioning for shows like American Idol and Apollo and The Voice, and nothing really happening for me. I really started to feel like, okay, this is really the only thing I'm good at, and I don't feel like I can really do well at anything else. You know, I kind of, well, not even kind of, I felt like I had failed at the one thing that I wanted to do, the one thing that I thought I was good at. And so for a really long time, I felt like that was the only thing I could do. And when that kind of fell through, I was depressed. And even after, you know, graduating from college, and then I couldn't really find a job in my field because I ended up getting into I ended up adding marketing into my degree while I was in school, and I just could not find a job. It was a really difficult time for me, and on top of that, this is something that I really have not shared too much on this channel, but on top of that, I did not have the best relationship with my dad at the time. It's definitely way better today than it was then, but my dad was always around. He was there every day, but he wasn't. And in a lot of ways of just emotionally, you know, like he was physically there, but just emotionally he wasn't there. We just didn't connect in that way. And that also was an issue for me. And a lot of this stuff came out in therapy, and that's why I'm able to kind of discuss and pinpoint these things now. But that all, you know, on top of me like, oh, you know, like, why does my dad not really want, you know, to give me a ton of attention? You know, why don't I have a connection with him like that? I always felt like I wasn't good enough of a daughter. And then, you know, when I'm looking at the whole singing thing and thinking that's what I was going to do with my life, and then seeing that I wasn't good enough to make it in the music industry. So you can kind of see how that pattern can start, and it can kind of get your mind working. And so for you, you know, what is your thing that you've been through, you know, whether it's in childhood or even, you know, like early adulthood or whatever it might be, where you've kind of now you tell yourself this truth that you've created based off of whatever the situation might be. And so for years, and this is something that I even have to now still work through as a mindset thing, is like, you know, you are not just one thing, you know, you are more than enough. You are worthy to do these things. Even when I started with business coaching, it was kind of the same thing. Like, well, who do you think you are to be able to be coaching people to do something? Like, what? Like, just so many different things. And so the biggest thing I would say is really identify the root cause of why you're thinking this, you know, whether that is getting in therapy, you know, really getting into your word, getting closer to God, you know, and just looking back at your life, journaling and thinking about, you know, like, where did I come from? What was my upbringing like? What made me happy? What didn't make me happy? How was I then, you know, versus who I am now? Just really identify that, because I think out of all of the things I'm going to talk about today, I think that that is really the biggest thing. So when I added those things in, and then on top of the fact that I already had very low self-esteem with the way that I look, in terms of the size of myself. So I used to get made fun of when I was younger for how small I was, flat chest, you know, itty bitty titty committee, you know, don't have like curves and hourglass figure and all these things that, you know, the black woman body, you know, sometimes people think of. And so it was just a lot of different things that made me feel less than, that made me feel like I wasn't good enough. And so when you add all of these things up, anytime I would go to pursue something new or different outside of what I was comfortable with, which was singing, I just felt like, okay, how do you feel like you're gonna be able to succeed at this thing and you couldn't even do this over here that you were good at? How do you think that you're gonna launch a business and be successful and put your face out there and smile and all of this stuff when people are laughing at you because you didn't do the thing that you said you were gonna do? So this is what I mentally have gone through, you know, for a long time, and just be feeling self-conscious and things like that about myself, and always talking negatively on myself. When you figure out what that root cause is, it really helps you to then figure out how you can start to change the story that you're telling yourself, because you've identified like, okay, you know, I went through XYZ as a young girl. That made me think XYZ about myself now. You know, even though today I'm a mom, you know, I question myself because of XYZ, but I'm gonna start to tell myself that this is not the truth. This is a false belief. This is not real. You know, this is something that I've created in my mind. This is limiting me from my potential. You know, something is placed on my heart. God wants me to pursue this thing, but he just needs me to get out of my own way. He is just waiting for me to come to him, to have more faith, to have the belief within myself that I can make this thing happen. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something where you just wake up one day and you just instantly do it. We will tell ourselves the story over and over again of why we cannot do something, and it's on repeat. You know, whether you realize it or not, it's in your subconscious, it's on repeat. And so anytime you go to sit down and take a picture, or you go to film a video, or you sit down to research your business, and then you start looking at what other people are doing and everything. And that's actually going to get me into what I wanted to talk about next. You are always going to have in the back of your mind the thing that you don't realize that's affecting you until you identify it and you address it. That's really when you will start to feel more free within this dream that you're trying to pursue. And so the next thing I was going to say is that you don't want to get caught up in the opinions of everybody else. I know that it's very easy for us to look to you know, the person that we're with, or family members or close friends for advice, or, you know, their opinion on things. Hey, do you think I should pursue this? What do you think of this? But if they don't get it, if they're not your ideal customer and they really have no idea what you're talking about, you can't expect them to give you the reaction that you're looking for. And this can also play on your self-confidence. You know, if let's say, for example, well, luckily, and I have to thank God, I have a very supportive husband. Even though he does not get half of what I be doing, you know, he will listen and he'll be there. He's really supportive in that way. So he really pretty much always will say the right thing, or if he doesn't really know what to say, he'll just kind of, you know, be like, I'm really proud of you, or, you know, whatever the case is. But there's other people that I know that I don't want to tell certain things to, because I'm not really sure how they might react or what they might say, and it might kind of make it harder for me to go for it full force. So, you know, if you know that you have a friend or something, you know, that might be in your life, maybe you guys are completely different, they have no interest in starting a business, you know, maybe they started a business in the past but it didn't work out, whatever the case may be, whatever they're bringing to the table, and then you tell them like, oh, you know, I'm excited, I'm getting ready to launch this, I'm getting ready to, you know, do a planner or whatever, and they're looking at you like, why are you doing that? Or nobody even uses planners anymore. Like, what are you doing? Like, no, what? You know, like, so you have to really be careful with who you share your ideas and things with, because it can play on your self-confidence. And so I'm sure you guys have heard this over and over again. You don't have to tell everything to everybody. You can move in silence sometimes, but find a community of people that do get it. And okay, the battery died. But what I was saying is the beauty of the internet is that you can find your community. You can find the people that get what you're trying to do, and that can root you on in the way that you need them to. Because they'll understand that level of support because they've been there, they get it. And so that's important. And whatever that looks like for you, you want to find those people. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't value the opinions of those around you. It doesn't mean that you're trying to, you know, shut people out of parts of your life. But it just means that right now, in this moment, in this season, I think I'm going to keep some details to myself just to protect my energy, you know, to keep my spirits up. You know, I'm already kind of feeling a little on the fence about doing this to begin with. And the last thing I need is for you to say this that could completely change the trajectory of everything, right? So that's basically what I mean with that. And so now, once you kind of think about those two things, when you really identify like, okay, why am I feeling like this? What has happened in my past that's causing this? Who are the people that I might not need to really share this with? Now it's important to really talk about like, what is the importance of showing your face and all of that. And so I've had many clients will say, well, like, why do I need to show my face? Why do I have to do videos? You know, I really just thought I could just, you know, like just show the pictures of my products only. And the biggest thing I'll ask you is like how you're watching this channel right now, especially if you're returning, or anyone else online that you support, especially if it's like a small business. Typically, there's a face, right? You know, like when you think of a brand, you can like, you picture a face of someone. And so it just makes it more personable. It makes it more authentic. It makes it more real when you have someone you can associate a business with. And so for me, I was not showing my face either in the beginning. I think like the first maybe 6 months to a year, I mainly just posted pictures of my products. I'll have to go back to the beginning of my Instagram on there and really look, but from what I remember, I was really focused heavily on the products. And then I remember I ended up starting this channel and didn't really know what the heck I was doing on this channel, but I would occasionally do like flip throughs and plan with me's and stuff, but again, not really showing my face too much. And so it wasn't until I really started to show my face, I started to bring people along on my journey, behind the scenes was when it started to grow. Because now not only is it called the Stationary Muse, but now they have this person that they can tie to this, and it makes it so much more relatable. And I hear all of the time people will tell me, oh my gosh, you're so real, I love how authentic you are, I can 100% relate to you. People know my story. They know the things that I've done. They know my journey. I share different things, and it doesn't mean that I share every single detail about my life, but I share enough that's real and things that have happened so that people can have something to relate to, and it creates a common connection and trust. And that is ultimately what you want for your business to be. You want people to trust you. You want to be credible in people's eyes. And if all they're seeing is a picture of a cute notebook on a table all the time, or a pretty pen in a little container, or whatever it might be, it's just more cold. It's not necessarily saying that you cannot be successful that way, because businesses all have their own ways of approaching everything, and everybody will tell you something different. But from my personal experience and from an organic approach to growing my business, showing my face has been 100% the reason that my business is where it is today. And that is in the standpoint of my stationery business, that is in my business coaching business. All of those things is because I show my face and I share my story. And so that might be hard to, you know, accept, you know, especially if you really have no plans of doing that, if you really don't want to, you know, show your face, you know, holding your products or talking about your products, going live, doing video. But that's just kind of where we are right now. And the more that you can connect with your audience, the better chance you have of them wanting to support you and purchase from you when you do different things. It's so crucial to the success of your business. I cannot stress enough how important it is to show your face. And it does not mean that it's forever. It definitely does not mean that you can just kind of do it in the beginning, and you know, then as the business grows, you can pass it off to someone else, right? And they can take it over, as in a sense of like you might have a team, and then you're no longer always having to be the person doing every single thing and being on every single live and all of those things. But in the beginning, when it's just you, it's important for people to build that connection and know who is the person behind the brand, what is their story, where did they come from, why should I care? That is why it is so important. And so there's just a couple of tips I wanted to give to kind of get you a little bit comfortable. But I hope that you can kind of see now, just from what I've said, is that I too, you know, I can be self-conscious and I can be negative on myself. So it's not always easy for me to get on camera and talk about things, because I get in my head all of the time. And so it's a constant process to work through. Just a couple of last little points I wanted to say. You know, you're not gonna look silly. Especially like if you're getting started and you know that pretty much everybody that follows you online is people from your personal life, you know, that's where you have to start. You don't have to have like this really large following of strangers, which is essentially what people are online when we don't know them until you start to get to know them and build a connection. Just like I don't consider you guys to be strangers. You know quite a bit about me, my life, my business journey, but I didn't have this at first. You know, I started at zero on this channel. I started with 0 customers, and my mom and my godmother were some of my first customers. So you have to start somewhere, and that is sometimes something that can make you feel very self-conscious when you're like, oh, I don't really have a lot of followers, or I don't really have anybody in my life that really cares. But that's where word of mouth can come from. You know, the more you put it out there, people will be like, oh, what are you working on? You know, what are you doing? Oh, so-and-so over here, they might be interested in this. And that's how things get started with people talking. And so you definitely have to put yourself out there, even if it is just to your family and friends. Once you get to the point where you're ready to start sharing about your business, that is exactly the same thing I did. So I promise I'm only saying that from my personal experience. But you're not gonna look silly, because I hear that all the time too. You don't have to get on and start dancing. You don't have to be like a TikToker doing all of the latest trendy moves and stuff like that. Like, no, you can definitely grow an audience without having to do that if you don't feel comfortable with it. I'll occasionally, you know, do a dance online or something like that, but that's more so my personality. I love that kind of stuff anyway, but it doesn't mean that that's the only way that I can grow. And it's definitely not something that I do very often, but just keep that in mind as well. And that always goes back to just making sure that you focus on what you're doing and not worrying about what everybody else is doing out here. But at the same time, video is very important. It's really king right now for growing online. And so the biggest thing I would say, if you are nervous about it, is to just do it. Like, I tell my clients the same thing. It's like, you can make up excuses all day about why you don't want to do it, about, you know, how you'll look and different things like that. But at the end of the day, if you want to see the results and the growth and the engagement and all of those things, you have to just do it. You have to go live. You have to hit record on the video. You know, you have to do it. You got to post it. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you will get. If I look back at my old pictures and videos and stuff like that, it's embarrassing, you know, because we all start from somewhere. We all have humble beginnings, and then we start to progress into what we're more comfortable with as we learn. And that's just a part of life. But get it in your mind that that's going to be part of your growth strategy if you're taking an organic approach, which is the only thing I can speak to. I have no experience whatsoever with running ads or different things like that. That's never been the way that I've grown. So I can't speak to that. But when it comes to organic, it's really gonna be a face-to-face type of thing of what people are really gonna wanna see. You bringing them behind the scenes, you showing the ugly parts, not always just everything that's so cute and pretty, but the ugly parts of the journey and the process and things that you're doing as well, because that is what's gonna get people to realize, like, okay, you know, I can kind of roll with this person. I can support, you know, like, oh wow, she really showed us all of this. She's really working hard to make this happen. This is her dream. This is something that she's always wanted to do. She really cares about people. Whatever that might be for you, that connection needs to be made through you sharing your story and showing your face. The last thing I wanted to say is you are so much more than just a good idea. So if something is in your mind and you continue to just have it as an idea, it just sits there year after year, the new year comes and you still have yet to get started. You look at everybody else doing something similar, or people just living out their dreams and doing things that you want to do, and you're sitting on it because of you being in your own way. My biggest piece of advice to you is that you are doing yourself such a disservice. You are doing the world such a disservice, because you have no idea what God has in store for you when it comes to you actually taking the action steps to get started and putting this thing out there and giving birth to this idea. You have no idea what could happen, right? So for you to sit there and continue to put it off and make excuses and be negative about yourself and, you know, feel like, oh, I don't like the way I look, or just whatever it might be. There's so many different reasons for that. In the meantime, somebody out there is waiting on you to release your product because they need it. Somebody is waiting to hear your story because maybe they've heard other people's story, but it hasn't resonated the way that yours is going to resonate. So you have to just remember that sometimes we may not feel ready, but we have to do it for those other people out there. And as you put yourself out there and you start to see the vision of what God really had planned for you, that's when it all can come together and you'll be like, oh wow, you know, like I really didn't understand. Like if I would have known back then, you know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was first thinking about it, that it would lead me to helping other women start businesses, I would have laughed in anybody's face that told me that. I'd be like, what are you even talking about? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like at the time, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I would be like, that's a joke. It was so much bigger than what I imagined. I just planned to sell some planner inserts online and take some pictures of them and make them cute and post them on Instagram. That was what my plan was. So just think about that when you are going into this new year that will be coming in just a few months, that you are so much more than just an idea. Let it be more than an idea. Put yourself out there, show your face. It's beautiful, smile, practice, you know, pull your phone out, film yourself, record it, no one has to see it, you know, just do test videos, get comfortable with it. And it's gonna feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, the better it will be, the easier it will feel for you. And then it will truly feel more natural. But it's just like anything else. On the first day of work, we're nervous, right? We don't know anybody. We don't know the process of how to do our job all the way. But then in 6 months, we feel comfortable. Okay, we know a couple people now. Hey girl, you know, like, okay, you got your little friend that you like to go to lunch with, and you know, you kind of getting cool with your boss, and you know your job like the back of your hand because you've been doing it. It's the same thing with this. Running a business is gonna feel very unknown and very scary territory in some instances, and especially when it comes to putting yourself out there in the beginning. But the more you do it, and when you start to realize how much of an impact that you are making, it becomes a little bit easier, and you start to be like, oh, okay, I got my people over here, I got my tribe over here that be supporting me when I go live, and okay, I got my customers over here, and okay, I know the process, I'm starting to get my orders out, I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, do this video and promote about this because I already know I'm gonna get love and people are gonna support, they care. But it doesn't start like that in the beginning. You have to work towards that. So that is it. This was probably a lot more than I was thinking I was gonna talk about, but I really hope that this video helped you. If you are in your own way, I am here to root you on. You got this, you can do this. Just go for it, okay? I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.